the GIS and ABS Radio 90.5 FM, proudly serving you, reaching more and more people every day.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the GN Sports Show here on ABS TV, radio, and we want to say a special welcome to our guests and our listening and viewing guests on Facebook. If you're a regular, welcome back. If you are tuning in to the show for the very first time, we'd like to welcome you as well. This evening, as always, we have a couple of youngsters in the studio with us. We're going to talk about football. We have two players from our under-13 team at the Generation Next Football Club. We're going to also do a little bit of table tennis with the president of the Antigua Barbuda Table Tennis Association, Mr. Chucky Bellot. We're going to, well, not recap because we didn't have games over the weekend, but we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about our ongoing Gomez Netherlands Insurance Youth Football League, our usual from the parents' perspective segment, and as always, we're going to wrap up the show with our resident star, our resident doctor, Dr. Rick Millis. We're going to continue a discussion that we started last week. Ricky, welcome back.
Yes, well, Zico, it's good to be back home. Of course, I had 2 weeks holiday, working holiday up in the UK with my darling wife. So it was really a nice break, to be quite frank. And I know you and Alistair Savory continued the show in good form. My
good friend Alistair joined me last two shows that we had. So that was it was a little bit of a change from the norm.
Yeah, and just before we get to these youngsters, we'd just like to thank the sponsors for Generation X Football Club, and I think that's to be cued in.
The executive of GNFC Rebels, I wish to thank our corporate sponsors who have invaluably contributed to ensuring the holistic development of our nation's youth in sports and education. Our platinum sponsor, North Coast Hardware, with 2 locations, the Village Walk on Fries Hill Road and on the Blue Waters Main Road. For all your hardware needs, North Coast Hardware is the place to go. Our gold sponsor, Frank Wall Limited, the Candyman, the sole distributor for the M&M brands and lots of confectionery. Our silver sponsor, Kenneth A. Gomez & Sons, famous for fairness, located in the Royal Palm Court on Fries Hill Road. For all your insurance needs, make sure you check Kenneth A. Gomez & Sons. Our silver sponsor, Island Photo, with 2 locations, the Royal Palm Court and Fries Hill Road and Lower Redcliffe Street. For all your photography needs, passports and pictures, frames, head over to Island Photo. Our bronze sponsor, Beach Limers. For fine dining on the ocean at Fort James, Beach Limers is the place to be. Our cargo sponsor, Antigua Cargo, above Bike Plus on Independence Avenue. For all your shipping requirements, large or small, John Andrew and his wonderful staff will take care of you. Our football sponsor, XL Engineering on Fries Hill Road, distributors for FG Wilson Generators. For all your generating needs and maintenance, call XL Engineering. Our brokerage sponsor, Francis Trading Agency on High Street. For anything to do with brokerage, check out Francis Trading Agency.
So those were the sponsors of the Generation Next Football Academy Football Club. We definitely want to say thank you to them for making the work that we do at the academy possible, and the spin-off is this Generation Next Sports Show. Ricky, let's jump right in. Generation Next FC Rebel players, under 13 players, I should say, Ademetri Lake and Zairo Morales. We'd like to thank both of you young men for agreeing to join us and having a quick chat with us. Good evening.
Zairo, why did you start playing football? What got you into the sport?
It looked fun to me.
It looked like fun to you? It's not because you were watching it on TV and you saw a star? Or it just looked like fun?
Looked like fun and you jumped right in.
And how old were you when you started?
11.
11 years old. Well, and he's a pretty good player for starting at such an older age. How about you, Ademetri? Rather.
I started because my cousin was playing, and then I figured out that I was a good player and I really loved the sport, so I just started.
And what position do you play?
Centre back.
Centre back. I know he's a pretty good centre back player. Actually, he has a nickname that I'm going to.
No, we'll stay away from nicknames today.
And I'm going to give him the nickname that his coach gave it to him.
We're going to stay away from that nickname today.
No, we're going to give. You want me to give you the nickname? Yeah. Okay, I'll follow the host.
We're going to stay away from that nickname today.
And how about you, Zairo? What position do you play?
Right back.
Right back. But you still up front a lot of the time. You score goals. Yeah.
That's a good thing. I mean, we need, right now, as coaches are looking for players who can both play offense and defense, so that's a good thing. Even if your natural position is as a defender, if you have the ability to score, you're always going to have a place in any team for any coach, because that's an added element to the game.
And what school do you attend, Ademetri?
The Antigua Grammar School.
And what class are you in?
You're outnumbered tonight.
First round.
Wait, we don't go to Zairo yet, you know.
But even if Zairo goes to St. Joseph Academy, you still can't win.
Well, I wouldn't be outnumbered. But anyway. And you have any favorite subjects? Math.
Good job. We're shaking hands.
We have a slew of mathematicians coming up.
Yeah, they're certainly better than I am. I am useless, really. This is why I end up playing football. Because I am useless when it comes to math. Absolutely horrible.
But you're good in PE, so we all have our specialities.
I had to be good at something.
We all have our specialities. Zairo, what school do you attend?
Gospel Light Elementary School.
Sorry?
Gospel Light Elementary School.
Gospel Light.
Gospel Light Elementary.
You're outnumbered, I told you.
Okay.
So you lose tonight.
Yeah. Fair enough. And do you have any favorite subjects?
Math.
Math too.
You shake your hands, Zairo. Other one. Excellent stuff. So we have both of our players having math as their favorite subject. As a matter of fact, at home, whenever my daughters pass maths, it's a Burger King
celebration.
outing. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. It's a Burger King outing, because guess what? I am horrible at it. And so that's my
But that doesn't mean the genes pass through from your side. You can pass through from the mother's side and give them good at maths.
That's the point. So every single time they pass math, I know it has nothing to do with me. And so it's a cause for celebration.
Okay.
And it's an encouragement for them to continue doing well at math.
Ademetri, you just concluded playing in the Gomez Netherlands Insurance Youth Football League. And I believe you won that division?
It's another championship.
Another championship. Did you lose any matches? No, you won all your matches. Oh,
Winning the league, undefeated season.
Undefeated. Not only undefeated, but you could be undefeated and draw. They've won all.
They won all your games.
Which is really in the cup. Did you have any favorite teams that you played against, that you enjoyed playing against, that gave you a challenge? Mahiko.
Mahiko is steadily improving.
They are.
Among other teams, but Mahiko is
I've noticed all the teams.
And we said that from the onset. Given the chance, given the opportunity for all of these teams to play every week, you are going to see that improvement. And so it speaks volumes to what we do.
But not only playing, but playing on the structured program. And Zairo, how about you? You wanted the championship team too, and did you have any teams that you enjoyed playing against or gave you a tough challenge?
You just like playing against everybody.
Yeah.
You just like playing and winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair enough.
That's a win. That's a good way to go.
And Zairo, do you have a favorite club? A
Yeah.
favorite team? And what's that team?
Manchester City.
Manchester City. And do you have a favorite player?
Yeah.
And who is that?
Messi.
Messi. And Messi scored 2 goals against Liverpool.
Absolutely massacred Liverpool. They're gonna be seeing
my son wasn't too happy about that.
They're gonna be seeing them. They're gonna be seeing Messi in their sleep for years to come. years to come. The good thing is, Zairo didn't say Tottenham.
No, the good thing is that not because you won today means anything, you know.
Dude, Europa League don't count.
I quite agree with you.
I
quite agree with you.
Yeah,
when you get good enough like Tottenham to be in the Champions League, then that's okay.
Ricky is alluding to the fact that
when you get good enough to come back in the Champions League, then we can talk. Until then, stay in the lower division. Lower division.
You're
right?
perfectly
Okay.
correct. You're perfectly correct, and I'm not going to even argue about it.
Ademetri, how about you? You have a favorite club?
Yes, my favorite club is Barcelona.
And your favorite player is?
Messi.
Messi. well, two Messi boys in the house.
Based on what the good gentleman did yesterday, I can't complain.
So Ademetri, you're hoping that they beat Liverpool in the rebound match and claim the champion and go into the finals to almost claim the championship. Because Tottenham is playing Ajax and we're going to beat them 3-0.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
You hope you're going
And then we're going to go and take on Barca and show Barca what football is all about.
I'm not really sure you want to meet Barca.
Yes, we're going to meet Barca.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay.
As I said, we go to the top level. We're not even bothered about the EPL. We go into straight to the champions.
Okay.
The champions final and win it.
All right.
And then when we come back on this show, we will talk. But mind you, I will talk because you will be mum.
Tell you what, if Tottenham wins,
Don't do like a favorite, like a famous politician in Antigua said one time, you can eat your shoe.
No.
Okay.
I'll wear.
Because I will bring the shoe here for you to eat.
No, I'll wear your Tottenham shirt. Me.
I tell you what I'll do when we win. Because I just got a gift from my son, which is one of the authentic old Tottenham shirts. And because you're an aged person, I'll bring that for you to wear.
Hey, Ricky,
we go back to these young stars here.
Ricky on the road tonight.
Yeah, we're going back to these young stars here tonight. Because we're just about rounding up with them, so it's what we call shout out time.
So whenever we have guests, especially young ones, you get a chance to shout out anybody you want. Who wants to go first? You want to go first, Dimitri? Who you want to shout out?
My mother and my father.
And the names?
Candice West and Adelaide.
Adelaide. And Zairo, anybody want to shout out?
My mother, my father, my families.
And what are your mother's and father's names?
My mother named Diaries and my dad named Pedro.
Pedro and Diaries Morales.
Yeah.
All right, boys, we'd like to thank you again for joining us on the GN Sports Show. We want to say congratulations on another championship in the Under 13 division of the Gomez Netherlands Insurance Youth Football League. And we hope that you guys keep putting in the work, and we're looking for good things from you in the future. So that was two of our Under 13 players from the just concluded champions from the just concluded Generation Next Youth Football League, Mr. Ademetri and Mr. Zairo Morales. I would like to once again thank them for joining us on the GN Sports Show and giving our viewers a chance to get to know them a little better. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, Ricky is going to give us an update of all that he's been up to over the last couple of weeks. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more from the GN Sports Show.
Barbuda Broadcasting Services is a department of the Ministry of Information, Broadcasting, Telecommunications and Information Technology. ABS currently has the following vacancy for a Deputy Director of News and Current Affairs. Key responsibilities require you to oversee day-to-day content of newscasts, be the primary supervisor in scheduling over news reporters, anchor and adhere to ABS's editorial policy and code of operating guidelines, working closely with the Director of News, Current Affairs in execution and best on-air, online and on mobile devices. Qualifications and the right professional drive start with a bachelor's in mass communication, journalism, or related field with at least 5 years experience. Candidate must possess strong leadership skills whilst managing a team of staff with the ability to meet daily deadlines under stressful conditions effectively. Please include a detailed resume and 2 letters of reference and submit by Friday, May 3rd, 2019 to absvacancies@ab.gov.ag.
I'm telling you, this girl is 19. I am telling you, she ain't reached 16 yet. With a body like that, you saw women that trick you? Listen, you need to check the age. Remember, if she's under 16, sex is a no-go. That's jail, brethren. Even if she's willing. You see that word willing? Women play hard to get, saying no. But they're still kissing you up. Those mixed signals are confusing.
Boss, with a little sweet talk, they give in though, don't give up.
See trouble now? Understand that if she ain't sure, that is not consent. If she kiss you, that don't mean she want to have sex with you.
But what if you ask for permission? Ask her for sex?
Ask.
Yes, ask.
Understand the boundaries of sexual consent. It doesn't hurt to ask for permission. And remember, sex with someone under 16 is illegal.
And we're back. And as mentioned, Ricky would have been away for a little bit, and he would have been trying to make some contacts and doing some networking in England. And I know he sent us a clip last week, and we aired that. But we're gonna give him a chance to give us a bit of an update in terms of some of the things that we've gotten, or you would have organized and put in place, so we could get a lot more done through the Generation Next Football Academy.
Okay, you want us to do the interview with Chucky Bellot first? Is he all set up?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
So once we have him mic'd up, but you could go ahead and give us an updates, Ricky. Good stuff.
Well,
because there was a lot. You messaged me. There was a lot of work. So give us an update on some of the things that you've managed to accomplish while you were on vacation.
Well,
on your working holiday.
As I alluded to earlier, it was a working vacation, and when I'm up there, I'm always looking for opportunities for young footballers here, particularly, of course, and those in Generation Next, but not necessarily exclusive to them, because we like to, Generation Next, we like to open it up to the whole of Antigua, and offer as many opportunities and pathways so that these youngsters can realize the dreams. And one of the most positive outcomes of what I accomplished up there was, and I'm really proud of it, to be quite frank, is the relationship we just established with Harbury College and University in the United Kingdom. Now, this is a university and college that is not, it's sports based, so it's a lot of sports that take place there. So it's not only football. They have tennis, they have golf, they have equine. It's about 7 or 8 different sports they have. I can't remember all off the top of my head. So once we get through with the football aspect of it, of course I will speak to the other associations and see how best they can also get the opportunity to be part of it. So as I said, we like to do things holistically at GNFC and just not hog it for ourselves, but to open it so that all of these youngsters can realize their dreams of getting an education and also possibly going into whatever sport they dearly love and playing it at the highest possible level that they can. So while I was there anyway, of course, I pressed the issue for scholarships. Because
as always.
Yeah, as I alluded to them, we come from a country that's not a very wealthy country. And anytime I target them, I said, we want scholarships. That's what we're looking for. In the immediate response to that is that they were open to it because they work very closely also with a club out of Ghana. And a number of their students that came through from that football club in Ghana have gone on to play professionally throughout Europe and in the UK. Some have gone on to other aspects in sports, like there was a physio, and the one was a manager, and they could do all these programs at the university. And they start, it's a college first, where you can go there and take your A-levels, and then you can migrate all the way up to master's degree while you're there. So you have a lot of opportunities. They have a lot of contacts, of course, because I think they're one of, if not the largest, sports universities in the UK. It's a fantastic facility. Everything is housed on one complex. So you have the housing, you have the educational campuses, and you have the sporting facilities, rugby, football, as I said, equine. The host, all of it is right there. So it's a massive complex. Just from looking at, but I can't see from end to end, but you'll have to drive it. It's about 500 acres, I think. So it's in the Midlands, and the way it's situated is very comforting to me because my wife lives in the area, so when I'm traveling up there, I can go and keep an eye on my fellow Antiguans, younger Antiguans, of course, and keep an eye on them and make sure they're okay. And if they should run into any problems, they can always make a phone call to my wife, and she can assist as best she can. So it's a wonderful opportunity that's being created here. I'm just waiting now on the responses from them as to the degree of scholarships.
Hopefully we can have some...
No. They already asked me for 2 females. So I'm looking for 2 females. So I'm checking from within our organization first, and failing that, then we open it outside. They were looking for 2 females, and you know, one of the things we were hoping to do in this summer was to take on the 15 team, and we originally started the negotiations with Mansfield Town Football Club, where we have 2 players, Christian Corbett and Lecky Shadonki, that are playing in their academy setup. And I said, look, I would like to bring it on the 15 side, and can you arrange matches with other professional teams? So Mansfield had agreed that they would set up the whole program. Of course, we'll have to look for accommodation, and we had Nottingham Forest, Mansfield, ourselves, and I can't remember the 4th club that were going to play. So when I was having the discussions with Hartbury College and University and the principals there, they said, well, we have the accommodation here. You're talking about mid-August to late August. Our academic year would not be starting until early September, so we'll have the accommodation here. It would be cheaper. We have the facilities. Can we host it? I didn't have to ask them. They said, can they host it? I said, by all means. I said, but in all fairness, I'll have to check with Mansfield, because that's where we started the negotiations. And if we can manage to get this on the 15 team, and I do have a backup plan, which I'm not going to allude to tonight, if we can get this on the 15 team to go up there, it's such a wonderful opportunity, not only for the youngsters to be traveling and playing in a different country, and particularly in the UK, where it's the home of football, so to speak, but also it exposes them so that Hartbury, and I'm glad it's happening there, can look at them and say, we have some talent here. And then, of course, if they see the talent, then the ante will be upped a little bit for the degree of scholarships that will be offered. So all of these things, I'm really, really excited about that aspect of it, because, you know, we stress hard education ties into sports, and we believe it's very good for holistic development of all the youngsters. As you know, I'm very, very strong on the educational component tied in with the sports. Not that one should be left out or secondary. I think they're equal, because I think it helps in the total maturity of the youngsters. Whatever sport it is.
Complete holistic development.
Whatever sport it is, it makes no difference to me, because not every sport is for every child or every person. So that is one aspect that I really worked on hard. Of course, I met with Mansfield.
All right, Ricky, don't forget what you're saying. We're going to talk a little bit of table tennis. We're going to get back to Ricky, because when Ricky start, we have a separate show for everything. But we have Mr. Chucky Bellot, president of the Antigua Barbuda Table Tennis Association, and I see you brought one of your young aspiring table tennis players, I presume. I'll allow the young man to introduce himself.
Good night.
Good night. Aiden Nicholas.
I attend St. Anthony Secondary School. I'm 15 years of age.
Excellent stuff. I'm going to start with Chucky. Give us an idea of what's happening with table tennis. And I ask that because I grew up in CV Farm. As a matter of fact, I grew up probably 30 seconds walk from where table tennis was a massive thing. So individuals from the community, my generation, my age, would have been exposed to table tennis at an incredibly high level. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen anymore. So my question is, what is the current state of table tennis as it is throughout the country, and what are some of the things that you're doing as president of the association and the Table Tennis Association by extension to, if not revive, to continue the whole aspect of table tennis and the development? Because I don't I don't particularly see a lot of young players gravitating towards that as a sporting discipline. So give us an idea of what's happening and what are some of the things that you guys are trying to put together to ensure the continuation.
Okay. Good night. Thanks for having me. Revive is probably the best descriptor of it. Table tennis unfortunately fell off some years back and basically lay dormant for several years. And it wasn't until the ITTF, the International Table Tennis Federation, as part of its drive to have all countries of the world become members, that an official came into Antigua and they dug me out of the woodwork and insisted that, you know, we get table tennis back up and running. Not having learned how to say no effectively. I consented.
That's probably something you have common with Wiki.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I'm working on that. It's a terrible, terrible fault. But so I said yes, and Antigua and Barbuda for the first time, although throughout all the glory years, we were not a part of the International Federation. So we became affiliated, and we immediately trained 11 level 1 coaches and 23 PE teachers. We introduced them to the game, and we laid the groundwork. We've been working at it ever since, and the progress is slow, but we are making progress. The sport having been dormant for so long, many of the players that you're familiar with either migrated or the bones not allowing them to move anymore. And we were selfish. There was no youth program, and so there was no one coming after us. And so we've started all the youngsters again. We started last year, and in earnest, we started last year, and we went for quick success. So I had learned that Didier, St. Anthony's Secondary School, they had active players, Mr. Nicholas being one of them, and also the academy and grammar school. And so while speaking with Mr. Sean Samuel, Ministry of Education and PE, we decided we would start the program in the secondary schools. So we placed boards at academy. St. Anthony already has boards. We place at academy, at grammar school, Piers Secondary, and All Saints Secondary. We still have PMS, Otters, and Clare Hall Secondary as the first phase of the secondary school rollout. Talk is much easier than doing. And so once we started placing the boards, it's not just putting the boards, because then if you leave youngsters or anyone to just pick up the board, the racket, and start to play, what you will end up with is a lot of ping pong players. We want table tennis players. And it's much more difficult and challenging to correct bad habits. Right. So once you place the board, then you have to go through the 2-week, the 3-week, the 4-month process. And although we have 11 coaches, so far just yours truly doing most of the legwork. So it becomes a little bit strenuous.
I would imagine, because I would say players of my age and my generation, well, especially those who grew up in Stevie Farm, we were a bit fortunate, because while there wasn't necessarily a youth program, you were exposed to table tennis every day, and eventually you played.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about players Samuel Strand, Liston Lewis, Warwick Frederick, Erdl Codrington, and the list. And these were just players that I would have seen from Seaview Farm who played at a fairly high level. I mean, Sam Strand was probably one of the best I would have seen. And I distinctly remember as a youngster, like for us, we learned to play because we had to get there early.
Yeah.
Because once it got to 5:30 in the evening, and then the real players showed up, we had to sit. But it wasn't just, we were allowed to stay and watch, and we learned a lot by seeing some of the best players in Antigua playing. And it's painful to see, to understand that we went from there where we had really, really good players to it, like you said, Mr. Bellot, being completely dormant. I'm grateful that now we're seeing the wisdom in restarting the program.
No, I admire you for restarting and re-kicking it. What are some of the challenges that you face in terms of having to encourage these youngsters like Mr. Nicholas here into gravitating towards that sport? Because there's so many other activities nowadays for them to. It must be a challenging experience for you to say, okay, fine, just give it a shot. Come and try and play some table tennis. And as I said earlier in the program, is that not every sport is for every child. But so I believe at the younger ages, I will encourage you to go into the primary section.
Yeah.
At the younger ages, they can more experiment. And then by the time they reach Mr. Nicholas's age, they are more settled into what sport they enjoy the most.
Right.
So what are some of the challenges you have in terms of getting them to gravitate towards the sport?
Well, luckily, table tennis is a very addictive sport. You put a board, racket, and ball.
And everybody's
that's
going
it.
to it. That's
all
you need.
That's all you need.
All you need.
So it's really manpower, feet on the ground, and of course we need more coaches. We need maybe full-time coaches. I do the best I can, but I do have my own
business.
Yes, yeah. Well, to start this, I actually committed to taking a break for 2-3 years. Working part-time and trying to do table tennis full-time. Yeah. But those are some of that's really the challenge. But once you put the board, once you get the equipment, people will play.
Yeah, but as you said earlier, if you just put the board and the rackets, then they would not necessarily play table tennis or play ping pong.
Yeah, but at
so
least,
the thing, it's an attraction. I'm actually complimenting you on it. I'm not attacking it. I'm just saying that it's one of the challenges, to be as blunt as possible. Is it a monetary stuff in terms of the boots in the field, like the coaches to train these youngsters? Are they being paid? And if they're not being paid, if they're not being paid, sometimes volunteering is a difficult task because if you ask someone to volunteer their time and then they don't show up, there's no accountability. You can't get angry with them.
No, well, that is indeed a challenge, and you had mentioned as well. In the older days, in days gone by, you had those seasoned players like Strand and stuff would have learned by watching Boxy Fredericks, the Frederick brothers, Bobby Fredericks, Keith Fredericks.
Yes.
And so those fellas, Leopold Webson, and just names.
So you had a succession.
Right, and so
just within the community.
Right, but here it is now where we're trying to restart it. You don't have anybody for them to fashion their game off of. You do, on the flip side, you do have YouTube and you have access to that.
Right.
But in terms of being able to go out there and play and that kind of stuff, so it is a challenge. It's the cart before the horse, the egg before the chicken. We don't know. We're trying to create the success so that more people gravitate to the sport. But for people to gravitate to the sport, you must have success. So it's difficult.
It's difficult.
But I'm a person that believes that never say die. This is what we've set out to do, and this is what we're going to do. Well, it only takes 3 or 4 individuals to put Antigua on the map. 4.
Yeah.
Not 11, not 16. No, 4.
And that's one of the benefits of a sport.
Of course. And if you have one individual that does very well in any tournament, well, you're gone clear.
Yeah. Do you have any local tournaments, inter-school tournaments?
We had 2 tournaments last year, and a certain individual very close to me, and I'm going to name him, he just decided he must hog out everything. So
I think
we have to come to him.
I think now is an excellent time to segue into. And here's we have a rule on the GN Sports Show, especially with youngsters. When you come here, if you have any accomplishments, here's the place to brag about it. So tell us.
So don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Brag about it.
If you're the best at what you do, here is the place to say it, and so everybody can know.
Say it like Muhammad Ali.
So before we even get that, because we understand, and as Mr. Bellot was saying, there's this natural difficulty in getting younger players attracted to the sport. So give us an idea as to why you would have opted to gravitate towards table tennis, bearing in mind there are so many other more popular sports out there. Give us an idea of why table tennis.
Well, I originally started playing table tennis at school in second form because it was an option as an after-school curricular activity. So I signed up, and my first coach, Mr. Callias, he trained us and showed us what it's all about and all that. So I grew to like the sport and become more closer to the sport. Then one training day, he called in Mr. Bellot, Coach Chucky, and he came and saw us. And after that, he offered his time and services to help us get better at the sport. So we train at multipurpose now, from Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
So there's active training sessions. People, if you have children who are interested, even if you're an adult who is interested, I assume you take adults as well.
Of course.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
Even if you're not interested, just come out and try it. Just come out and try it.
It's fun. It's amazing.
Just come out, have some fun, play it. You never know. You may actually like it. So just come out and give it a go.
Well, we really have had persons gravitating. So let me just qualify that statement. There's no challenge in getting people interested. The challenge is providing the guidance initially and spreading yourself all around. And so the answer to that really was to try and have centralized practice at multipurpose. And to date, we've introduced or reintroduced well over 120 individuals to the sport. The challenge is, of the 120, how many of them really want to go further, yes.
Further than just showing up occasionally.
Right. We have people who come off the cruise ships that come and want to play. You have, we had a 76-year-old visitor from England, a lovely lady. She just had to play. She came, and so she was playing with. She booked a few sessions with me. I do all of this for free, just to try and get persons. So there really isn't a shortage, but we want a lot of people to play, but we really want to identify and create an elite team as well, a set of elite athletes. Because my dream is to take table tennis to the Olympics and to the Commonwealth Games. When we were playing, the only thing we knew about was OECS. Yeah. So we went to OECS, we rough up everybody, we take that, and we go Caribbean tournament, and we get rough up, but that's okay. And I played in the French league. I came as high as second in that in Martinique, and every Saturday, every Friday night, travel down to Martinique to play in club matches on a Saturday, then fly back up Sunday morning. I did this for about 3 years, but now there's so much opportunity, so many opportunities. We just had the World Championship in Hungary, just finished this past weekend. Before that, we had the Caribbean Championships in Ghana, then a world qualifier in Santo Domingo right after that, in Dominican Republic. Then we had Central America Games, and it's endless opportunities now.
But in terms of that, just coming back to the money aspect part of it, in terms of traveling to and from, who will absorb that cost? Would it be that, like for instance, if Alex had to go to travel to Martinique to play in a tournament, would the federation look after his expenses, or would you have to source it, or would he have to source it out of his own pockets?
Well, we certainly wouldn't want him to source it. Right? So the Antigua Table Tennis Association would have to find ways and means of getting our athletes there. The ITT have just agreed to get our regional or continental players to the qualifying tournaments wherever they may be.
Oh, that's good.
So we only have to create the elite players, and doors start to open.
As far as coaching goes, you mentioned earlier there's a need for more coaches.
Committed coaches, I think. Committed coaches, I think.
How does the process of, first of all, getting into coaching, but more along the lines of becoming a certified coach, what's the process that these individuals or and someone who's interested, a former player, past player, and wants to start actually on the road to become certified as a coach? What's the framework in place to facilitate that?
So ITTF has a similar level 1, level 2, level 3 as I think football has the same.
Yes.
Okay. So I myself, I'm just a level 1 coach. What it is you apply and they send a specialist down to conduct the course, and of course to get maximum efficiency, you try and get as many persons here.
Yes.
Like the last time we did 11. The level 2 coaching is a little bit more difficult. I signed up for Jamaica at one point, but then they got cancelled. Signed up for St. Vincent, that got cancelled because there weren't enough players. Coaches who wanted. So I rather suspect that I will have to probably go to Europe to do the level 2, level 3. But the idea is ITTF. This is the big shift. They want bragging rights. They want to see heroes from this continent, Latin America and Caribbean, and now the American continent, because there's a move now to put all of us together. So you'll have this united North America, South America, North, Central and South, and the Caribbean, all considered one continent, one block. And so once we identify individuals, we will do the preliminary work with them, introduce them to the basics. The specialist comes, you spend 3-4 days, and you go through all the drills and everything, and that's it, level 1. And similarly, level 2, level 3, it becomes more and more complicated as you go along, but it's certainly doable. We had an umpire, basic referee and umpire course here as well. So we also have certified ITTF referees and umpires here as well.
That's a good thing, because like I said at the start of the segment, I grew up with table tennis being an integral part of growing up in Seaview Farm. As a matter of fact, if once you lived in Seaview Farm, you grew up there, table tennis was second nature. It was like football, it was like basketball. So we grew up with that, and to see it dormant for so long, it's painful at times.
You mentioned you'd like to see Antigua go to the Olympics in terms of table tennis. What would the process be? How would you qualify to get there?
Okay, so there are a lot of qualification meets in the sub-region. Mainly the Latin America block. So you would have in Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Mexico, those countries usually. The ITTF is actually setting up a high performance training center in this part of the world as well. So, we can send our players there. But you attend the requisite meets, and you once you do that, you start to get ranking as you do in the ITF. Yeah. So it's the same thing. World ranking, same line.
But it must be, the reason why I asked, it must be difficult, because you said that they were blocking the South America in one block, South America, Central America, North America, and the Caribbean. So it'll be extremely difficult, because our population size is a lot less than theirs. So our talent will have to shine that much brighter.
Man, everybody have a bat and a ball, right, Nicholas?
Yeah, okay.
Everybody have a bat and a ball.
I firmly believe talent is equally distributed. And I've said so many times, what isn't?
I know, I agree, equally distributed, but if you look at it on a pro ratio basis, if you have talent here in Antigua, it's 1 in 8 in 80,
but
in 100,000, whereby they may have 20.
But that's just the point. You only need one.
Yeah,
and that's fundamentally.
I'm not selling ourselves short.
But that's fundamentally the difference between table tennis and, let's say, a sport like football or basketball. Because for us to get to the World Cup, for instance, you must have 22 players who can get you there.
Yeah,
you may have 1 player, 2 players in that 22 who may be excellent and may be able to play at an elite level and be playing in pro leagues. And I'll give you an example. Curacao has a player who plays in the English league. But are they good enough to qualify for major tournaments? Probably not. Whereas with tennis and with table tennis, you don't necessarily need an entire team to be.
No, I agree. No, I agree.
You need one.
All I'm saying is that I think
it's a numbers game. He's suggesting it's a numbers game.
So what I would like to see there, maybe it's just my ideology. I'd like to see them block, like the Caribbean is one block, so it gives us a better opportunity to be exposed.
Well, you do have those sub blocks.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you at some point you're gonna have to hit ball with racket.
Yeah.
And that's it. But don't say it can't be done.
No, I'm never saying it can't be done.
We have a guy from Brazil, Hugo Calderano. Yeah. Tearing skin, beat the #1, #2 last year in the world. We're talking about the Chinese guys, Malong and the other one I can't pronounce his name. Clean them up from Brazil. Then we have Adriana Diaz from Puerto Rico, 14, 15, tearing skin, Chinese, Japanese, anybody
getting licks.
And that's all you need.
You just need one.
You just need one. And I am prophesying with a bat at the side of my thing that this young man
is going to be the one.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. But if you're good at what you do, then we expect good things. Like Mr. Bellot, thank you for agreeing to join us, and as well Mr. Alex? Nicholas. Adrian Nicholas.
You want to rename the man?
No, sorry. Adrian Nicholas. We'd like to thank both of you for joining us on the GN Sports Show and giving us an idea of what's happening in the world of table tennis. We'll be, obviously, as always, we keep tracking our youngsters in terms of what they're doing, and we're hoping to hear good things from Mr. Nicholas. And
well, we'd like to give Alex as we do Adrian, sorry.
See, you have me calling the young man Alex.
You have me calling it. Anyway, I'd like to give Adrian the opportunity to give a shout out to anybody out there.
Yes, I would like to thank Mr. Callias and Coach Chucky for taking me as far as I am today, and also my parents and family for supporting me. And
Well, we're proud of you, and I'm particularly proud of him because I'm on the board of directors of St. Anthony Secondary School. So I like to see that one of the shining stars from Antigua in table tennis is actually a student at St. Anthony's.
There you go.
Excellent stuff. And as we mentioned, here, if our youngsters are doing well, this is the avenue for them to brag. I'd like to thank both Mr. Bellot and Mr. Nicholas for joining us. We're going to be checking up on you, and hopefully we can have both of them back to give us an update on what has been happening. And that was a bit of table tennis. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to touch base with Mr. Deon Simmons, and he's going to join us for our From the Parents Perspective. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more from the GN Sports Show.
Cherish those special moments you've spent with Mom and reward her with a token of your appreciation with unique gifts from Antigua's family store, Shells, Toys, Gifts and Housewares. Flowers still remain one of the most popular gifts for Mother's Day, and no doubt we've got literally thousands of vibrant, colorful arrangements in our everlasting garden to choose from. Personalized corsages and pin-ons, stylish scarves, clutches, hand and cosmetic bags can also be had, along with costume jewelry, perfumes and gift sets. Ceramic Mother's Day mugs and pre-wrapped gift sets in various combinations are also available. So continue to cherish the moments with the one who guided and nurtured you throughout the years, and say Happy Mother's Day from Antigua's family store, Shells, Toys, Gifts and Housewares.
As educators, we are always searching for ways to make our lives better. That is why the ebook is such a great addition to our educative arsenal. With it, we are able to create groups for specific classes, broadcast media directly to student devices, create tests and control exactly what our students see. All from the ebook. No more fumbling through textbooks. Work smarter, not harder. Let's make it easy with the ebook. So much more than a book. Collect yours from the Board of Education.
Many people struggle to maintain a lasting relationship, sometimes opening up to someone, believing they are different, only to be disappointed. They say there's always some madness in love, but there's also some reason in madness. Matters of the heart. Let's find the solution together.
In case of an earthquake and the place not shaking, drop, cover, and hold on. Drop, cover, and hold on. In case of an earthquake,
there's a few tips that can keep you from harm. In case of an earthquake, you gotta stay calm. Move away from doors, windows, and things that can fall. Try not to use steps or elevators at all.
drop, protect your head on your face. Don't go running all over the place. Cover under a bed or a table, against a wall that's firm and stable.
Hold on,
you must hold on, don't panic, stay calm.
Don't move until the shaking stops.
Here it is.
Drop, cover, and hold on.
Drop, cover, and hold on. In case of an earthquake.
Drop, cover, and hold on.
Learn how to protect yourself during an earthquake. Log on to weready.org. That's weready.org for more information.
Time to wake up. Time to prepare for the day. Time to learn. Time to make a difference. Time to look after yourself. Time to see your healthcare provider. Don't let cervical cancer stop you from unleashing your potential. Now is the time to get vaccinated. Now is the time to get screened. Now is the time to end cervical cancer. For more information, visit us at www.paho.org/endcervicalcancer.
And we're back with more from the GN Sports Show. And as always, this time of the program, we are joined by our good friend Dr. Rick Millis from the American University. We have from the parents' perspective, do we have Mr. Simmons on the line? Okay, well, Dr. Rick is here. We'll touch base with.
He's on the line.
Okay, Deon, can you hear us?
Very, very faint.
Okay, so we'd like to thank you for agreeing to have a quick chat with us on the GN Sports Show. Obviously, You're talking to Zico, and Ricky is here as well.
Hi,
and
Zico,
what we do
Ricky,
is try to have some perspective from parents who have youngsters who participate regularly in sports, and give us some feedback in terms of some of the challenges, some of the good things, some of the not so good things, some of the things that you've noticed, things that could possibly be improved from a parent's perspective.
Well, basically, I come from a background where I grew up in Villa, right? Being a part of the Villa Lions setup, and just reflecting as a child growing up, you would have parents who have the challenges where they find themselves out there trying to, deal with the family, provide, and so a lot of times you don't really have that support on the field in a sense, or at the games. And I, just after Ricky spoke to me about being a part of the program, I kind of thought about it for a bit, and I can remember as a child growing up, you would have had certain elders within the community who would have been around the field and would have, looked at what's happening, and as they saw the talent, they would have then reached out to try and assist. Okay, it's not everybody can afford to, and back in the day too, you would not have had the different academies as what we have today, because I think nowadays you have FIFA regulations who would then expect certain clubs to have the breeding ground for the young talent. You understand? And so back in the day, I can recall, let's say, being in the Villa Park, playing football, you'd have had somebody as a father figure like Luther Lee who would have, seen the talent, observed what's going on the sidelines, and would have reached out to the different families, the different parents. We even have somebody in the name of, I can recall persons like Amazon, who is now one of the guys one of the caretakers for ARG, who would have seen talent in youngsters and would have then inquired about their needs and wants and assist with supplying it. You understand? People like Amazon, people like Luther Lee, who would then reach out to the parents to even do the pickups when there are certain games out of the community. In this day and age, it's still out there. Some of us would have been able to then support the children, but then there are still others. For instance, right now, we are part of the Northern Patriots Football Club, as you would know, and we do have, our setup is more like family, and I say that to say, when there's football going on, be it training or tournaments, we have a great showing from parents, but then there will be some who, for one reason or another, may not be in a position to attend because of work or, other maybe household chores. And each parent who is able to assist or who is able to attend will step up and assist by picking up the child who would not be able to get that support and still be able to support. If we see someone who is not in a position to provide, let's say, soccer shoes or socks or whatever, we step up and do that. And so there are challenges from the support perspective. I remember when Ricky spoke to me about coming on the program, it had to do with a support perspective. And as I said earlier, we operate like family. And if there is a shortfall somewhere along the line, we try somebody step up and really play that part. Today, in perspective, we had the club being a part of the farewell service for one of our soccer dads, Stuart, in the name of Stuart Griffith, who has been always there for his son and anybody else that needed it. He passed away. He was buried today. And we all showed up. Most of us showed up in the sense of the parents who we all know we have to reach out to that child and support that child. And, we try to ensure that we are there for everybody, not just our own child. I'm a part of the founding group, administration, coach, whatever you want to call it for Northern Patriots, but we still play the support role for everybody. It's a holistic and a developmental program for all the children, not just in football, but just life and life as a whole.
Yeah, Deon, Ricky here. Of course, Northern Patriots is one of the clubs that I really enjoy seeing participating in any tournament because you always turn out in your numbers supporting one another.
Let me cut you. They have this carnival cricket kind of thing. Northern Patriots bring the carnival football perspective.
Yeah,
touche. And that is very factual.
And I wish more clubs would adopt that carnival football atmosphere to our youth programs.
One of the things, Deon, I wanted to ask you, and it's how you feel about this, is very often parents tend to take away sports when their child is not doing as well as they want them to do in the academics. I'm a strong critic of that. I do not support that avenue. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, let me tell you, from my perspective, and I was a recipient of a football scholarship through the Villa Lions Soccer Academy again, and not necessarily the soccer academy, but the Villa Club, who had relationships with a few universities within the United States. And one of the things that I learned is that it's a marriage. You can't, and sometimes we call people nerds and so on because they were all into the book business and not sports, not athletically inclined and stuff like that. One of the things that any kind of sporting activity will teach you is being a team-oriented individual. There are many persons out there who cannot work as a team. Once you can play football, cricket, any kind of sporting activity where there needs to be some kind of collaboration within the work environment, within the business place. But you know what? You really cannot, let's say, for the parent, because half the time they don't know and they don't understand. You understand? And so it's something that we will get accustomed to over time, over a period of time. You know, when you look at football back in the day where it was being played by a particular class group, where the parents had to be maybe working 2 jobs trying to support the household. And the child will be out on the football field having fun, but developing their skill set during the same time. And most times the parent will say, oh, you know, hey, now come on with a broke foot, because that is another expense for them to take you to a doctor or to the hospital. But they were not thinking or looking at the bigger picture where there's a possibility for a scholarship, which will take you to university to get that tertiary education or from a professional standpoint. And because we are not necessarily looking at that mentorship, let me tell you something, this country has so much talent in it, right? It's just that when our children get to a particular age group, they end up straying and falling by the wayside to, you know, the negative influences within the community on the street corner. But there are a lot of talent in this country.
There is.
Too much talent, if you ask me.
Well, Deon, we'd like to thank you for coming on and giving your perspective as a parent on sports in Antigua. Thanks again for appearing on the GN Sports Show with much gratitude.
Not a problem at all, Ricky. Have a good one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So that was Deon Simmons, and as he alluded to, very much a member of the Northern Patriots, one of my favorite clubs outside of Generation X, because again, like you said, the carnival football atmosphere, and there are really good players, and they've improved tremendously. So I want to give a shout out to my good friend Kevin, who's doing a lot of work with them.
But not only their parents support the kids, the other team members, when they're not playing, they're all there supporting. Like you'll see the on the 9s going to support the on the 11s, and the on the 13s going to support the on the 7s.
And ultimately, that's
once they're not playing, and it's really they really are fantastic.
So kudos to
the
our friends at Northern Patriots. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and ultimately, we're all heading in the same direction in terms of player development. Dr. Wick is in the building.
Yes, and
Resident Superstar.
Well, that was very seasoned opinions by that gentleman. I enjoyed hearing them.
I'm a firm advocate in balance in sports, because ultimately, when these are the same parents who want their children to progress to universities on athletic scholarships, and when you get there, have difficulties balancing school and the academics, because as soon as something went wrong, what did their parents do? Take the sports away.
Well, there was a study just done recently. I know you like your studies. There was a study just done recently.
Oh, I shared it. I shared it on Instagram. I shared it on Facebook.
And I'll tell you something. It's fantastic. And they said, actually taking away sports during times of hampers academic performance.
I believe it.
It's not only...
It's a stress reliever.
Yes, it is.
It's a stress reliever.
Anyways, we'll talk about that more next week. Dr. Wick, as usual, for the last couple of weeks, we're talking about measles. And our good friend Alistair had very strong opinions about anti-vaxxers.
I know, I heard.
A little bit stronger than yours. A little bit stronger than yours. So Dr. Wick is going to give us an update on that, because measles is dominating the news, and then we'll continue our discussion.
Well, actually, I heard on ABS earlier tonight that 95% of the population in Antigua and Barbuda are vaccinated, and that's more than enough for herd immunity. And there was a ship from St. Lucia, a cruise ship, that it was supposed to come here, and it is returning to its port. It's in St. Lucia because they have a quarantine case of measles. So the system is taking care of itself, and we just want to keep alerting parents to make sure that their kids and themselves are vaccinated.
Make sure your vaccines are up to date.
And then there won't be a problem here.
Right. Last week, interestingly, Dr. Wick brought up
the fact
findings
that
prepubescent children
have
measure favorably with elite athletes
in terms of their muscle function. Elite athletes in terms of endurance.
Yes,
not strength.
Not strength.
So
not
we're talking about
speed.
what? So Ricky, what kind of muscles are we talking about for endurance? Do you remember? We've talked about this many times.
And
fast or slow?
Slow, I think.
There you go. Slow twitch muscles.
Yeah.
Very good.
And that kind of blew my mind, because traditionally we look at not training children too hard at an early age.
Well, they train themselves because they're using these slow twitch muscles. Slow twitch muscles are meant for endurance, and they are running around all the time. Had you ever seen a kid that get tired? Not usually, unless they're obese or overweight or have some other health problems. But they're running around all the time.
Sometimes you wish to get tired.
Yeah, that's exactly. So you can put them to bed. But they are training themselves, and so they're self-training. The interesting thing I didn't say last week is that they also recover faster than the elite athletes. Their recovery time is faster in terms of lactic acid. Remember we talked about lactic acid in the muscles? They recover faster. We don't really know what this means, but we did think we would discuss possibly how we can build on this to maybe develop better training programs for kids. But if they're self-training,
then there's no need to regulate it.
I don't see the point, except for this. Vary the activities. In other words, don't just have them running around, and don't also devote them to only one activity. I think using their slow twitch muscles, varying the activities, learning to use those slow twitch muscles with more agility in many different ways is the way to go for training children and keeping them encouraged about sports.
So are you saying that, for instance, in the younger age groups in football, we normally shorten the length of time that they're playing?
No need to.
So what you're saying, increase it back? Yeah. And increase back the size of the field?
Well, I don't know what the evidence is for that, but yes. Yeah.
No, but for what you said.
Now, for weight control, we know that works. So there have been many studies that showed that if you increase the amount of physical education in the schools from, let's say, 30 minutes to 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week, there's a huge change in the reduction in obesity and overweight, that it helps with weight control. So in other words, having kids more active in school helps with weight control. So there are studies like that. But there's actually something more interesting in this regard with muscles and children and development. So we're talking about pre-pubertal, before puberty, okay? Before the boys come into manhood and the girls come into womanhood. Now, what happens at womanhood for a woman? Okay? She and men, boys, when they become men at puberty, they get the sex hormones going. What is the role of the sex hormones? Very interesting. It's hot in the news this week. Folks, you're hearing it for the first time here. Not really. I heard it on the BBC. I'm stealing this from the BBC a little. There's a runner. I think her name is Semenya.
Caster Semenya, South African.
Caster Semenya, that's
middle
right.
distance runner.
And do you know what the African Olympic Committee ruled this week? She has to take drugs to reduce her testosterone level. That's her male sex hormone level. Now remember, folks, both males and females have both male and female sex hormones. When they come into puberty, it's just more male sex hormones and less female sex hormones.
One becomes more dominant
That's
when you
correct,
when you
than
hit
the other,
puberty.
obviously. And what has happened is now they're requiring her to continue to compete. She has to take drugs that reduce her testosterone level from her normal level. In other words, her normal level is giving her an advantage, they claim. They claim. There's no real evidence for this. Ladies out there, lady athletes out there, what do you think of this?
That's the sad thing. Well, in all fairness, I
don't agree.
Now we're going to get all the calls.
I don't agree with that.
I don't. But I can see.
Look, they're having sex changes and being allowed to a man changing his sex.
But this is not a sex change.
I know. I'm coming to that. Having a sex change and becoming a woman and being allowed
to compete
in the
against
women's.
women.
And now you have a woman Just because of a
because
higher,
she's
a
dominant.
a higher.
And I don't necessarily.
Okay, and now I'm going to play devil's advocate. But don't we need some rules? In other words, don't we have to level the playing field a little bit?
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm saying again, you can't have it both ways. Just like what we discussed with the Millis, you cannot have it both ways. If you're allowing it one, it has to go across the board.
What I'm
I'm not here to determine which one is the fair one.
Let's get into the science of it a little bit.
Because
the science of it may be where we might agree more on the science of it. And actually, I think they should hire me as a consultant because I have some insight. I have some insight into this that most people may not have. So let's look at what the effect of male and female sex hormones are. So in a female, since this is a female, let's concentrate on the female. Her male sex hormone is contributing to more red blood cells. She has a higher red blood cell count
that means more
than
oxygen.
the other females. So that gives her more oxygen carrying capacity in her blood and more endurance.
More endurance.
She has potentially more muscle mass, the ability to produce more muscle mass when she trains, which gives her
And you can see the physical difference.
more strength.
You can see the physical difference in her and the females that she competes against.
Right.
You can actually see it.
Then there are brain effects also that we're not really completely sure about. But that contributes to competition and all of that. But here's what I think they're ignoring. Oh, and there's one more thing. Some of that testosterone is converted to the female sex hormone. So the female sex hormone that's responsible for feminizing women, called estrogen, comes from testosterone, the male sex hormone. It sounds very biblical, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, there's some science behind the Bible, right? So some of that is being converted to her estrogen too. And I don't know if they're taking that into account. But that's not where I have the insight. Here's where I have the insight. Let's look at the bones, okay? And bone density. If a bone is denser with mineral, we have calcium and phosphate in our bones that make them strong, they're heavier.
Yes.
Well, isn't that going to slow her down?
Exactly. So she's actually heavier.
The androgens, that's right, in terms of bone density, now it's also making her probably more resistant to fractures because when they run like that, they're susceptible to, shin splints and all kinds of fractures that can occur. But on the other hand, it may actually be slowing her down a little bit because we're talking about what, tenths of seconds, right?
Yeah.
Hundredths of seconds sometimes in these things.
So basically,
So it's very interesting. Yeah, the extra testosterone or androgens, male sex hormone in her, could actually be creating more bone mineral.
So
in
basically, this ruling that came out requiring her to suppress the testosterone is actually, rather than leveling the playing field, it's actually going to put her now at a disadvantage.
Well, potentially this
Potentially.
is theoretical. This is theoretical.
Potentially.
Theoretical.
But you see, here it is with the double standards. You can't take drugs to up the ante, but now you have to take drugs to drop it down.
And that was the next thing.
And these are the things that bother me so much.
Because the funny thing,
because you cannot have it both ways.
Especially with track and field, IAAF is absolutely stringent in terms of testing for performance enhancing drugs. Now you're going to force a young lady to choose between continuing to compete as an elite athlete and taking, rather than enhancing drugs, she has to take suppressing drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
The irony of the whole
Put it in
situation.
perspective so that we don't. I don't think in all of her activities she's required to do that. I think it's only for certain distances.
For certain distances, okay.
Because they believe those distances are the ones where she has a greater advantage. But still, it's setting a strange precedent.
A bad one.
And when I found out about this, immediately I had a lecture that day actually on bone mineral density and all this to the medical students. And I brought it up to a large group of medical students and I said, what do you think of this? Because they're too busy studying, they don't watch the news. They didn't know what was going on. Oh my God, you know, half of our medical students are females. They were ready to string me up.
Rightfully so too. Rightfully so too. Because I just don't like these standards that these people do arbitrarily.
I mean, I have my own personal opinion as to why it's being done, but that is just my opinion. I don't
well, I'm pretty sure it's the same opinion I have too. Because I think if she came from a different place, it might have been different.
Yes.
Oh, it's South Africa.
Yes.
Political.
I don't think.
Yes, I think so.
Had this very exact.
What about if it was Ethiopia?
I think it would be the same thing too.
Because their females are just as dominant.
Yes.
In those distances.
Of course.
And I don't think that there's a notion or the thought to have them go through that same testing process. So I'm curious as to find out exactly what the motivation is. I'm not particularly surprised because they have been testing and tracking her from the last Olympics.
Yes.
Because
sure.
What I want to ask Doc this. What happens if the reverse happened in a man? Would he be allowed to up the ante to catch up?
If his
female,
if his estrogen was higher than his testosterone,
would he be allowed? No, those are the questions that I would like to ask these people who come up with this, what I call insane methodologies as to what they have to do. Well, and I bet you they would not allow a man to take enhancing drugs, but they could let this woman have to take suppressing drugs.
Well, enhancing drugs in a male doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, what if he had more estrogen than testosterone?
Oh, you mean to reduce the estrogen and take the testosterone so he gets back to the normal range?
So what is considered normal?
Interesting concept.
But what is?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm sure they're not going to allow that. I'm not preempting them, but I'm pretty certain they're not going to allow that. I'm curious because they're going to say he's taking enhancing drugs, but no, they're going to basically condemn this young lady and have her drop her just because
she happens to be
she happens to be dominated. That's all it's because.
I'm curious as to what is the determining factor in terms of what is allowable in terms of her testosterone level. Who determines that? Is it just arbitrarily set, or is there some science behind setting?
Yeah, sure. There's science. There's normal ranges for all of the hormones, all of the chemicals in the body as of males and females at certain ages, and that is not really affected as to whether or not you're an athlete or not. They're considered normal, healthy ranges.
And her testosterone
and they're broad ranges. No, they're broad. This is not a narrow range, and she's just, these are very broad ranges, and so I don't have the data, so I don't know how far above that range.
But in your opinion, she would have to be considerably above. Bearing in mind it's a broad range.
Yes.
For them to make that ruling, in your opinion, she would have to be a bit outside of that.
I don't know that because if it is political, they could make any rule. They could say the other way. They could say because it's a broad range, we're going to not allow anything outside of it. You see, that actually might be the ruling. More likely, that's the ruling. It's a very broad range. It accommodates all women, that we know, and we have data that shows advantage.
I'm in total agreement with banning any athlete from taking enhancing drugs. I'm totally in favor of that.
Because that levels the playing field.
Everybody, if you happen to be stronger than me, and we deadlifting weights, you win. End the story. I shouldn't be taking enhancing drugs to compete with you.
This drug came from her parents and God.
Exactly.
How do you regulate that?
So,
genes.
How do you regulate that?
To me, this is just nonsense.
Well, regulating genes.
I didn't even know about this.
Aren't we really talking about regulating
genes? And that is, for me,
well, that's where we're headed.
Slope. Because now...
So what are they going to do? They're going to test all the athletes now and say, okay, fine, your level have to be between there. or they're just going to test a few?
Well, now that I know...
So, you know, these poor athletes, how many tests they're going to have to go through?
Well, now that I know what I know, if I were young and getting married again, I would have my potential wife tested, me tested, see what our genes are for creating the elite athletes, so I can retire early.
That's a thought.
Of course, if you know my family and you know my kids, that it wouldn't make any difference. They wouldn't share.
Unfortunately for us, we ran out of time. But that's interesting insight, and I think that's probably a story that we definitely need to track, because in my opinion, it opens up a huge kind of worms. There's so many different angles, so many variables that definitely have to be covered. But it's something that we could definitely keep tracking. I'd like to thank Dr. Wick as usual for joining us on the GN Sports Show. Unfortunately, we've run out of time again on another interesting topic. But be sure to join us next week. Dr. Wick will be back in the house with us. And we'd like to, once again, before we wrap up, thank those of you who tuned in tonight, our regular viewers. I want to say thank you. And anybody who's joining us for the first time, we'd like to welcome you guys. From next week, we'll be back on the radio, not on TV. So tune in on the radio next week, and we'll have another installment, 90.5 FM. We'll have another installment on the GN Sports Show. But for my co-host, Ricky, myself, Dr. Wick, we'd like to thank everybody who's been a part of the production tonight. And we want to thank you viewers for joining in, and we'll see you next week.
You are in tune with the nation's stations, ABS TV Channel 10, the GIS, and ABS Radio 90.5 FM, proudly serving you, reaching more and more people every day.